2007.
This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, West Alabama. How we doing today on this Friday morning? It's the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. Hope everybody's having a great day, getting ready for a big old weekend. Hope you got some big old plans in your life. You guys, what are we going to do? We're live at the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios today. You are watching us on the Bama Central Facebook page, on the Bama Central YouTube channel. You're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. We appreciate everybody who's found us there on their favorite platform. Go ahead, hit a subscribe, rate, review on your favorite platform. Love to see the 5-star reviews going up on Spotify, on the Apple Podcasts, everywhere. So we're going to have a lot of fun in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios today on a Friday with you. Invite you in on the comment section at Joe Gaither6, at Bama Central, at MA_Woods_ on the Twitter machine. You can send us a comment right there, or you can join us on the voicemail line at 205-462-7340, extension 800. If you want to be like our friend Roy in Lake Gunnersville, Dax, a couple times this week. We had a mystery caller as well. We'll take all the phone calls right there on the voicemail line at 205-462-7340, extension 800. Yesterday, we had Miss Katie Wyndham join the program. You can go back and listen to that on all those platforms we just mentioned. But today, we will be joined by Mr. Will Miller. Will Miller of Alabama baseball fame. He is the Bama baseball beat writer for BamaCentral.com. And we want to catch up with him because there's only a couple more weeks left of the baseball season. It's been a minute since we have done that. And we also want to delve into Wrestlemania with my friend Will Miller, because Will Miller, Mason Woods, and myself all are excited, I would say. Well, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but excited for Wrestlemania weekend. So that's going to be what's on tap today. We're going to talk about Dane Brugler's 7-round mock draft. We want to look at where everybody got it selected. Everybody got slotted to, and decide what kind of fit that looks like. Dane Brugler does it at a super, super high level.
I think he does it just about better than anyone, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And that voice you just heard is our friend Mason Woods. You follow Mason Woods, MA_Woods_. He's going to be helping us record. He's going to lead All Things Bama, a new episode of All Things Bama here in just a little bit after we record this. Good morning, Mason. What's going on, man? You excited? And what? I mean, you were telling us briefly about your night before we got on air, but a little fun time at the university last night.
Yeah, went with my wife to the university. What is it? Alan Bell's Theater, I think is what it is. Saw the student production of Cabaret last night. She had a great time. I didn't have as much fun. It's just musical theater is not really my thing, but hey, it's okay. I'm glad we went. She had fun.
There for the wife.
Yeah, I'm sure that I will look back on it and be able to, make some funny comments in the future and things like that. So, had an okay time though.
Very good, very good.
I've lost my. Oh, there we go. Camera's back.
Goodness, your camera's having a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know what
the last 2 days. It's really struggling. Got late. Got home a little late last night, so I'm a little tired this morning. But we're doing okay. I'm ready to get into this mock draft, like you were saying, and talk about who I think is probably the premier person for draft coverage. I think they give you the best information if you are looking for draft coverage.
Yeah, I think I pay for the Athletic at like $20 a year, however it accrues across my bank account.
I read pretty much exclusively things from Dane Brugler. Every now and then I get some Alabama things, a few Titans stories here and there, but for the most part, I'm paying for Dane Brugler's content.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So Brugler puts out his beast a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago or so.
Like
We've read Jalen Milroe's draft profile. We've read John Campbell's draft profile. I don't want to read another profile until next week. Maybe we'll have Tyler. We'll look at Tyler Booker's profile. Tyler Booker slipping into the second round, maybe. Very, very interesting. So we'll have Will Miller join us in just a minute. But none of our listeners, well, maybe all of our listeners are excited for WrestleMania, but most of our listeners are going to be excited for the NFL draft. And so that's what I want to start with. NFL draft next Thursday, and I've got Dane Brugler's 7-round mock. First off,
a 7-round mock.
That is insanity.
That's why he's the best. Like you don't get that from everybody. You get maybe 2, maybe 3 rounds from most people. A full 7 round is like this guy is doing the work.
Nobody's courageous enough to do that, in my opinion. So here we go. Let's look. Okay, you've got a bunch of Alabama. What's 11? We have 11 prospects. I know that Katie sent out our draft prospects a couple days ago. I wrote CJ Dupree for this morning on BamaCentral.com. Let's just start it. We'll take it right in order. If you're an Alabama fan, Dane Brugler says that you have to wait until number 19 for your first overall draft pick in this year's draft. Jihad Campbell, number 19 to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Levante David is back at 35 for a reason, is still playing at a high level, but this would be a great opportunity for the veteran to help Campbell get introduced to NFL life. The Buccaneers are going to have a defense-heavy draft, especially in the early rounds.
I've been saying it for 2 months. This is like a perfect fit for Jihad Campbell. Pair him, let him sit for just, a little bit behind Levante David, who has been one of the best linebackers in the NFL for the last 10 years, if not more. And just let him learn for a little and then release him to the rest of the league. Unleash him on the NFL, in his sophomore year there. I love this fit. I think it would be perfect. I'm not 100% sure, if Jihad does make it that far. I think, a lot of teams are very interested in a linebacker with his upside. He's, extremely athletic, kind of fits that we talked about, that modern mold of linebackers now, which is kind of where everybody's trying to go to a more rangy guy that can play multiple positions and not someone who's maybe going to be stuck in one spot. Jihad Campbell is the perfect candidate for that. So, it may be a bit of a struggle for him to even fall to 19. If he does, that is can't imagine a better fit.
I can't imagine a better fit for Jihad Campbell personally, but again, take us back to our conversation right after Pro Day. You click next, and when you on this mock draft, you hit Control F Alabama, and it pops you up to number 19, Jihad Campbell. Next, you're out of the first round. We'll get to who these are in a second, but the concept here: you're out of the first round. You had one NFL first round draft pick on the 2024 team. And take me back to 2 days ago with our caller who said, he's in over his head. The Warriors in over his head. One first-round draft pick on the team in 2024, and DeBoer goes 9-4.
I know that the information, the data is out there to support the argument that, teams with the most first-round picks typically win national championships. I remember, within the last couple of years, that story from someone coming out, and I remember seeing it coming across my timeline and being like, I'm not surprised by this information, but I'm glad to see it all here laid out in front of me. The teams with the best players win games. Alabama did not have the best players last year. I know that's a bit strange for some people because you're not used to it, but it just is what it is. Alabama did not have the best players last year.
Well, you look at the team, and like everybody, I do it too. You think about the team. Player X, I think about Player X as the best version of Player X as possible. Of course, every team wants him. No.
I don't know. I don't know that you got the best version of insert player for, a lot of the team last year.
All right, so we keep going. You got 11 or so draft picks. When I hit Control F Alabama, I have 17 selections. So I'm guessing there's a bunch of duplicates here at the back end of this article here. But number 34 brings your next draft pick. You go to bed.
He's got 9 selections.
You go to bed on Thursday night on one draft pick. I think you're not really. I think you're feeling. I think reality sets in a little bit for the Alabama fan base, and maybe it already has. And maybe I'm shortchanging you. And if you are, I'm sorry. But I think that piece of evidence will be pretty significant. Like, oh, Malachi Moore wasn't a first rounder, because I think people just think that he is because of
he was here for so long, he was so good.
Right. Yeah. Well, he's an undersized safety. He's going to end up being, I don't know where he is on this list, but 3rd, 4th, 5th round is how we're going to go here. Like, you're better. Your team leaders. I mean, we credit Malachi, Deontay, Tyler Booker, and Jalen Milroe for leading the team last year. Well, Deontay hurt and not playing a premium position. Hurt at the end of the year. He played well. Booker not playing a premium position. Malachi Moore not playing a premium position. And Jalen Milroe, a mutated version of a quarterback.
Yeah, sure. Oh man.
So you've gone to bed on Thursday night, and Alabama's had one pick, and you are thinking about. I'm thinking about Tyler Booker. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking, what the heck did y'all not see on
Yeah, I
tape?
mean, what team's getting a steal here with Tyler Booker?
Top of the second round, the Browns open up the second round by taking Jackson Dart.
I didn't even notice that when I was looking at this. That would be.
I think he's right. I think
he probably is, but man, oh man, Jackson Dart in Cleveland. Ooh.
This is a heck of a. This first 5 picks of the second round are very just SEC centric and interesting. He goes Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe to the Giants at 34, Luther Burton to the Titans at 35.
I'll take it.
Former Alabama and current and Ole Miss cornerback Trey Amos to the Jags at 36, and Tyler Booker to the Raiders at 37. So just these 5, but specifically these 2: Jalen Milroe at 34 to the Giants, and Tyler Booker 37 to the Raiders.
Jalen Milroe to the Giants is very intriguing because
does Brian Daboll commit suicide? No, or Daboll thinks he can coach him.
Dable
obviously,
probably, yeah. I think Dable seems like the type to be like, oh yeah, I can do it. We can fix this. We can make this work. I mean, he
coached Jalen Hurts here.
He did. That's intriguing because obviously, I think a lot of people have seen the Giants have been linked to Shedeur Sanders throughout the draft process. He's having the private workouts with the Giants executives, all this stuff. But obviously, if they are interested in Jalen Milroe, I don't think they'd be going back-to-back quarterbacks. So, I think he has them taking Abdul Carter in the first round here at pick 3. We've talked about it a lot on this show. If I were the Giants, I would probably not opt for that plan. I like that plan better than taking Shedeur Sanders 3rd overall. I'll say that. I mean, you get a premium player with Abdul Carter, you get an elite edge rushing talent, and then with Jalen Milroe, the upside is still there. I'm not going to sit here and act like he doesn't have a high ceiling. His athleticism is incredible. He's got a very strong arm. If you can just rein it in, he could be a good quarterback. But there's just so much work that needs to be done. And, I don't know that the Giants are necessarily the team to do it, given what we've seen from their quarterbacks. It seemed like Daniel Jones just got worse and worse every year. Drew Lock never looked good in his time in New York. Insert whatever quarterback it's been basically since Eli Manning hasn't looked
what's
good.
The Giants fan base? Take the temperature of the Giants fan base in terms of quarterbacks. Let's say Mason Woods morphs into a Giants fan right now. You've been watching Eli Manning win you 2 Super Bowls with, good quarterback play. Yep. Good. And then from Eli goes to Danny Dimes. Was there someone in between?
I'm sure. I feel like there was, but maybe not.
I don't think that there was.
I feel like there may have been a bridge guy at some point, but that might have just been because Daniel Jones was injured.
Right. So you've been watching Daniel Jones for 4 years now. Actually, longer because they signed him to that extension. Yeah. So yeah, I do think it was Eli to Daniel Jones. But you signed the extension. You've been watching Daniel Jones for
a long time,
4, 5, 6 years. Oh yeah, they had Tyrod Taylor for a second as like a backup one year when when he got hurt, and it's all been just makeshift quarterback play, just making chicken salad out of chicken bleep. Are you really signing your fan base up for Jalen Milroe?
You got Russell Wilson.
You got
Jameis Winston.
I'm sorry. To me, it just sounds like we're doing the same thing all over again. Daniel Jones to Jalen Milroe, incomplete quarterback with different holes.
Yes.
And Danny could run too, but just different holes.
Yeah.
Some similar processing, I think, is a similar hole in each of their games.
Mm-hmm.
But you're taking an incomplete quarterback and you're saying, yeah, we should make it work. That would make me, if I'm a Giants fan, I would like, you don't do that to your fan base. They're not in a place where they've seen,
when was the last time you saw good football in New York?
They're tired. That's my point. They are tired.
The last time, I think, probably 15, 16. It's been 10 years since they've seen a competent season, and because the last 2 years of Eli were bad.
And if I'm a tired football fan, and you serve me Jalen Milroe,
boo him.
Quick, too. That's him. The point. That's the point. Not that he's like, look, they're gonna boo him anyways if they don't like him.
Sure.
Okay.
It's going to be like Porzingis.
The leash is not long.
It's like when the Knicks drafted Porzingis. It's like, who the is this guy? What are we doing?
Right. And it's not Jalen's fault.
Yeah,
it's the Giants' fault. It's the Giants' fault for setting the table and creating the environment of all our fan base is tired. All our fan base has been watching mediocre to less than average quarterback play for the last 5 years, and they're like, please give us somebody we can watch. You just shipped off the best thing we had in Saquon Barkley. You let him walk out the door. Like,
Malik Neighbors.
Dude, just let him go to the Ravens. Just let him go to the Steelers. Let him go to because the Steelers strike me as a fan base that has high expectations, very high expectations, like Alabama fans, but also has a sense of objectivity. We know who we are. We've had We've had 3 coaches in the last 50 years. It's been Tomlin, Cowher, and Chuck Noll, right? 3 coaches in like 50 years. We have stability. We are not wavering. Of course, we tried the Kenny Pickett experiment, but if we can get you Jalen Milroe in the second round, like that's a fan base that will let you kind of grow into the league. That will let you, okay, we got a real good defense. We got a decent running game. Well, I don't know what their running is going to look like without Najee anymore. Their offensive line has not been good for the last couple of years. I just think that this is an element to consider when drafting Jalen Milroe.
I think the Steelers they feel like a better landing spot to me than the Giants do just because of the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh. I mean, they got Mason Rudolph and who I don't even know who else they have. The only quarterback I know that they have on the roster right now is Mason Rudolph because Russell's gone. Justin Fields is gone. So
but the GMs will not consider this, will they?
No.
GMs will think, this is my player.
Sure.
I can make him work. He's going to work here. Everything's going to be great.
I think
Jalen to New York is a disastrous move.
Yes, it feels like it's not going to work. I don't think it's going to work. I mean, not like they paid either of the quarterbacks they have currently a lot of money, Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston, but like you did go get 2 guys that have starting experience, one of which was a starting quarterback for most of last season. So like you have your solution there. Like you've already kind of been like, all right, I don't understand why you're going to take a flyer on a guy when you already have like bridge quarterbacks in place. It's not like
this is your 1-year quarterback.
Yes.
We're not drafting a quarterback unless he's in the 7th round and we're just getting a guy, a camp arm.
For the Steelers, Mason Rudolph, he's not a good quarterback, but he's going to be there for a while. He will be the backup quarterback for the next 10 years in Pittsburgh, probably. And you just let Jalen Milroe sit on the bench for a little bit. You get your mediocre quarterback play from, Mason Rudolph. He'll win you 6-7 games, probably. That's about it. And then you just throw Milroe out there. I don't know. To me, it just makes more sense for the Steelers to draft Milroe than it does New York. I feel like, I don't know. The urgency is a little bit more there in Pittsburgh than it is in New York. In New York, you can wait another year and, wait for when you have a real like shot at a premium quarterback. I don't know. Just interesting.
Brugler's little paragraph. As I reported last week, Milroe has accepted his invitation to the 2025 NFL Draft in Green Bay, creating even more intrigue about when he will hear his name called. I like this fit for both sides, a young, dynamic quarterback for the Giants to develop, and a landing spot for Milroe where he won't be thrust onto the field before he's ready.
Yeah, he'll just be thrust to the New York media. What?
Dude, he'll torture them.
Probably, yeah.
He will torture the media. It'll be, I just focus on getting 1% better today. Well, Jalen, what you think about starting this week? Well, we're just worried about the little thing. We're just worried about controlling our controllables. Well, Jalen, Russell Wilson had a bad game. Did you? It's just gonna be. He's just gonna give him the.
I mean, he's met with other teams. Do we think? Do we think the Seahawks,
Rams,
the Seahawks pose a moderately interesting landing spot? I think the Rams I don't really understand as much.
All right, let's move off here because Will's in the back end, and we want to complete this mission before we bring Will in here. All right, so the Raiders are at 37 with Tyler Booker, and Raiders, that would be a great move.
Yeah.
If he's still around, just take him.
Yes.
Who cares? Like, I don't care who you got to guard. I was looking at it earlier. You've got Jordan Meredith and Dylan Parham. Parham, third round pick.
Dylan Parham. I really wanted the Titans to draft him a few years ago.
So go ahead and get yourself some Tyler Booker. Continuing on, who's the next Alabama guy on our list? That's not right. That's not right.
Malachi Moore?
No, he's got an error here. He's got an error here with in the 5th round in Control F Alabama Eagles Carson Vinson.
Alabama A&M.
Okay, that's why.
Scroll over, just it says A&M beside it. If you just,
I
did that yesterday too. I was like, who is Carson Vincent?
You're exactly right. All right, so next is Malachi Moore right there at 172. Oh, you know what? So many Alabama fans will be so happy at 169. The Bills. He's got the Bills taking Seth McLaughlin. Roll Tide. All right, Malachi at 172 for the Seahawks. 5th round. You've gone from a second round to 2 second rounders, 1 first rounder, 2 second round picks, and then you're sitting on your butt. You're going to bed early on Friday because no 3rd round picks, and then you don't have to click into the draft Saturday at 11. I guess is when the 4th round starts. Get into the draft about 12:30. On Saturday for the 5th round. Like, are we seeing the problems on the 24 team here? Not only are the better players in non-premium positions, but they're also not necessarily the best players at their position. Look, Malachi was amazing. I don't want to see Malachi in a dark alley. I don't want to be running across the middle against Malachi myself. But if Malachi were an elite safety, his name would be Brian Branch.
Sure.
And he would have been a 2nd round draft pick.
Yep.
And he'd be making money with the Detroit Lions right now.
Winning me my fantasy league.
Look, that's a harsh way to put it, but that's truth. That's reality.
Yeah, it just is what it is. Malachi Moore. I mean, I think there's room for Malachi Moore on the NFL roster. He's just going to be a player. He is not going to be, an instant impact guy. He's going to be a work his way into the rotation through special teams, probably. Really have to grind it out. Might spend a little bit of time on a practice squad here and there. Who knows? I just, he is not the player that I think a lot of Alabama fans kind of think he is in their heads, which,
because he went to Hewitt-Trussville, and it's if they ain't wearing crimson, everybody got.
And I love that, and that was awesome.
Of course.
I like to see that is still being carried along after Malachi Moore now. But he never at any point last year was an elite player at his position. He was always just pretty good, and that's what a 5th round pick is. You're pretty good.
And here we go in the 6th round. We've jumped down to the 6th round now. The Cleveland Browns at 179, taking CJ Dupree.
Another guy who, not going to be an instant impact guy, probably going to be, special teams, maybe works his way into the rotation as like a 3rd tight end kind of deal. But I think room for him on an NFL roster.
202, Los Angeles Rams is still in the 5th round, taking Quandarius Robinson. Like, come on, what are we doing? We're saying the same things about all these guys. Yeah, 214, LA Chargers. 214, LA Chargers in the 6th round, taking Tim Smith. Here we go. And then, so
that's all of them.
I missed no Robbie Oots.
No Robbie Oots. Wow.
No Rob.
That's a mistake.
No Robbie Oots at all.
No.
And so there's your 2024 Alabama season. Like, all your draftable players are getting drafted. Like, look, Tim Smith plays a premium position. You play defensive tackle. You play defensive end. Q Robinson, you play one of the most premium edge rusher, and you're in the 6th round. Like,
good players, but not elite.
Yeah, good college players.
Yeah.
All right, so gonna have a lot of fun with the NFL draft next week. We will. Yeah, exactly.
Future Super Bowl champion Cam Ward.
Oh man, we're gonna have a lot of fun with the NFL draft. Let's turn our attention. Oh man, I closed out my notes page, which had my ad read on it. So right there, boom. Let's turn our attention to Will Miller. We're gonna talk about Alabama baseball blowing the game last night and what they've got ahead of them for the last couple of weeks. Then we'll talk about WrestleMania, and then we'll all have a great weekend. Before we do that, though, we want to tell you about our friends Warren Tire and Auto. They've been a Tuscaloosa and University of Alabama staple since 1961. They're in their third generation of family ownership. Russ Warren is running that thing right now. Go see him today. Warren Tire and Auto is the go-to place for all your automotive needs. They've got 2 great locations to serve you for tires, brakes, and alignment. You can reach out to them on 15th Street at 205-759-5505. For all your other automotive needs, you can see them on University Boulevard. Call them there at 205-758-2739. So 2 great locations to get you in and out and back on the road. Tires, brakes, and alignment on 15th Street. Front end work, electrical problems, AC problems, oil changes. You can see them on University Boulevard right there by the hospital. The 2 great locations in iconic places in Tuscaloosa, really. And you can get them in and out, back on the road. Warren Tire and Auto, we're proud partners with them. The premier place for all your automotive needs. All right, let's have a lot of fun. We're going to keep it going on Friday with our friend Will Miller. You follow Will Miller at Real WB Miller on the Twitter machine. Alabama baseball kept him up late last night, blowing the game. They were up 5-1, ended up losing by the time I was done with it. I think it was 11-5 by the time I was done with it. Maybe it progressed even further. Before we get into Will's baseball and ask him how he's doing, Will, we've been dancing around the draft today. You're the GM for the Denver Broncos. Who are your Broncos selecting in the first? Do y'all have a first round pick, and who are y'all taking?
That's a good question because it seems like the Broncos up until last year just couldn't draft. And I'll give it to him. Marvin Mims was a steal, but he was not expected to be anywhere in the neighborhood of what he is now when he was picked. And back then we didn't have first round picks because of the Russell Wilson trade and the unmitigated disaster that was. I know you guys were talking about the Steelers and about the Giants, which I would point out, Mason, you left out the best part of the Kristaps Porzingis thing. You left out the Tingus Pingus part, which
I was trying to remember it, and I couldn't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah. That's what really makes that whole
Pingus.
Yeah. There you go. That's what makes that whole interaction go is the who is Tingus Pingus? Yeah, that's
man.
That's the best part of all. But
this is why we get Will on the show.
Yeah. It's not any type of actual sports insight. It's stuff like that. And thank you guys.
It's for him to recall these memes from 10 years ago.
And I'll tell you, I really wouldn't mind the Broncos drafting Jahad Campbell for when they inevitably let Nick Bonito walk in free agency. I mean, because they're going to do that, and it's going to irritate a lot of the fan base as well as myself, but it would help to have another guy waiting in the wings be an impact player for us. So that's just throwing that out there, just kind of spitballing. I wouldn't mind that at all.
There we go. Broncos picking at 20, so we will see if they can jump ahead of the Bucs and take Jahad Campbell or Will Miller. All right. Will, we're really having you on for 2 reasons. To talk baseball, give us a little update. So, man, hearts are broken yesterday, but really it's WrestleMania season. So let's continue on giving the people what they want. Alabama-related content with the baseball stuff. Losing to LSU last night. Really, really disappointing. Up 1-0, up 2-1, up 5-1, and then really just collapsing from what my stat broadcast could tell me. I was actually eating in the Waffle House, having it on another tab, writing my CJ Dupree piece, and keeping up with it. So where did it land? How did the Crimson Tide blow the lead last night? And really, what in the world's going on? Because it seems like every time I look up the last 2-3 weeks, it's been bad results.
That it does. Last night specifically was a bad one to lose. They're up 5-1 going into the 6th inning. LSU gets 3 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning, and then things really change in the top of the 7th. Alabama gets 2 on. They advance to scoring position with 2 out, and Justin LeBron gets rung on a low pitch, 3-2 to end the inning. Mike Morrison gets ejected from the ball game. LSU takes the lead in the bottom half of the inning, and the word Simon used was snowballs. And I think that's a perfect description of what took place. It ended up being 11-6. Alabama scored a meaningless run in the ninth when Kate Snell walked with the bags full. Last night was, to say a comedy of errors would be an incorrect term, but it really does feel that way when you look at the scoring line, when you look at just how things progressed in the late innings. I mean, that's kind of the conclusion that, an objective observer maybe would get to that didn't, see every pitch of the game. This was a game defined by momentum swings. These last 2 weeks have really been defined by some offensive struggles, and last night they didn't really have that. They hit a bunch of home runs, just didn't win, weren't really competitive at the end. The starting pitching has been a problem, which last night Tyler Fay did a really good job to open the series. They kind of shifted the rotation around. Part of it was just because of the short turnaround between Thursday and Saturday instead of Friday and Sunday, like is customary. You have obviously Easter coming up, necessitating some changes. You got Riley Quick going tonight, which normally Zane Adams has been the number one guy. Those two have been flipped around. This is a must-win game for this Alabama baseball team. I mean, last night was one of the most important games of the season so far. Couldn't get it done. Tonight becomes one of the most important games of the season so far. It's going to be your best starting pitcher on the mound so far this year. But I guess it comes down to how you're going to be able to manage not only the bullpen, because the bullpen was not sharp last night, but also just manage these momentum swings in an environment of Alex Box Stadium where it's one of the most imposing places in college baseball. They were out in full force last night. They're going to be again tonight. And that is so much of what goes into the experience of playing against LSU, is that when you have them on the road, that's another element to deal with. I don't think that Alabama really acquitted itself well in that area last night, and it was important.
Well, I'm watching like a casual, right? I'm watching in and out, and we know Justin LeBron is really the real deal. But I'm seeing you lose a series at Auburn, you lost a series with Mississippi State. You're really just kind of, I don't know, up and down. And it's really, I think, correct me, but up and down since the Tennessee series. You've got a couple of weeks left. Is this just, hey, brother Joe, you don't watch college baseball enough, par for the course? Easy. This is just normal SEC ups and downs, ebbs and flows for a season. Because my spirit is weakening a little bit. My spirit is a little bit, kind of withdrawing. So I ask you, is this just normal ebbs and flows? Obviously, Rob Vaughn's second year, learning lessons from last year. The program's been on the up and up. How would you assess where this Crimson Tide team is, even given maybe the rocky results lately?
Some of it definitely is ebbs and flows, and baseball is going to have those. They're 8-8 in the SEC, and I think outside of like 5 or 6 teams, if you tell them at the front end of the year you're going to be 8-8 through 16 SEC games, you take it. And I think Alabama's one of those teams that on the front end you'd sign up for that more times than you wouldn't. But at the same time, they've lost their last 2 SEC series. I would lean that it's probably likely they lose a third this weekend. And that's not where you want to be. They get swept. They're going to be 8-10. All of a sudden, they're below 500 in the league. Like I mentioned, their starting pitching has been an issue. And if they lose this series, that probably will end up holding true, because you can't contend, you can't win without your pitching being on point. And Alabama's hasn't been. But like I mentioned the other day, it's been certain games they can pitch and don't hit, as opposed to the other way around, like you saw in the game against Mississippi State last Sunday, where they only had 2 hits, as well as Justin LeBron with a hard hit ball that was correctly scored an error, even though a lot of people wanted it changed to a hit on Twitter. But I digress. There have been a lot of different areas of concern to come up for this team. And yes, some of it is just normal SEC baseball. These are some of the toughest teams in the country, week in, week out. That being said, you don't want to lose a series to Mississippi State that's 3-9 in the league coming in, and a lot of people are calling for their coach's head, it seems like, every year almost, because, they have a national championship, right, this decade, but they also have multiple years where they have single-digit SEC wins, and missing Hoover, and that's not the standard over in Starkville. And Alabama goes and puts on a lifeless performance largely against them, did win the middle game of that series. So, yeah, something does have to give. Something does have to turn around. This team is capable, but it's about, complementing that with action and delivering the results. That's what they haven't done yet. If they can steal these next two at LSU, that could go a long way.
So you mentioned, obviously just inconsistency being an issue. Kind of, it sounds like something we talked with Katie about the softball team earlier this week. Sounds like they're both kind of having the same problems. But softball, got the big series win over Oklahoma, and it feels like they maybe unlocked something. Do you think that, getting a big time series win, if Alabama were able to say win this series this weekend, would that kind of unlock something you think for the rest of the season here, or is that inconsistency still just a kind of a concern for you? Do you feel like just one series win here isn't necessarily going to mean anything for the rest of the year?
That's a great comparison, Mason. It's one I would make because, you were right on it. I think the softball team's played the best they have all year. And there are probably a lot of cynical people on social media that would tell you that's not saying much. But, money's still green in the end in this situation, right? They are. And they had really an offensive outburst in the early stages yesterday and ended up winning the game over at Florida. I certainly believe that a series win like this, and it goes such a long way because it also adds confidence. In diamond sports, it's so easy to get mired in a slump, whether it be individual or team. And you get down and, you show up every day and you practice, you take your hacks, et cetera, you throw your bullpen sessions, whatever the case may be. But something's not clicking, and that kind of has the potential to just pervade the mindset, leach its way into the dugout. That is as dangerous as dropping a fly ball. When you're coming in with the mentality of, I'm on the low end of the roller coaster, how am I ever going to get out? It's going to show in how you play. I think anybody that's played will tell you that. I think anybody that's coached will tell you that. So if Alabama can win this series against LSU, and I don't necessarily know if that is plaguing this team or not, but it could be. And again, it's potentially lethal because you have, for example, last season, 1st of May, they go to Starkville and the whole team gets food poisoning from the hotel in Columbus. And after it took them a while to get back from that, but that's a point in the season that, SEC tournaments in 3 weeks. And they were kind of listless after that throughout from that point until, the end of the year. And they won a game, but, they didn't have a great series. And I just think that really affected them in the long run. And even though it's not food poisoning, I'm sure the guys on that team would tell you they'd pay money to never have to go through that experience again. Losing can be like a poison in some senses.
Will, did you pay your taxes this year?
Yes, I did.
Interesting. Yes, of course. Will, we're hanging out with Will Miller. You follow him at Real WB Miller on the Twitter machine right here on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. Will, can I pivot you real quick to football?
Sure.
We've gone on the extremes a couple of different times this week, and I like this topic, so I want to play it with you as well. I want to ask you, is Ty Simpson Blake Barnett, or is Ty Simpson Mac Jones? If you don't understand the premise, I will go real quick.
I understand Barnett the premise.
Enters this
Will needs no explanation.
I watched Blake Barnett play against USC. Joe,
Will. This is for the audience. This is for the people that didn't watch the show yesterday or for Tuesday. If you didn't understand the premise is that Blake Barnett entered the 2016 season as the presumed starting quarterback, but with hotshot freshman early enrollee Jalen Hurts on the roster pushing him. Mac Jones enters the 2020 season as the presumed starting quarterback with hotshot freshman quarterback Bryce Young early enrolling and pushing him. Both quarterbacks ended in drastically different ways. Both quarterback seasons ended in drastically different ways. What will Ty Simpson's season look like entering the year with as the presumed starting quarterback. And with Keelan Russell, hotshot number one quarterback, early enrolling, pushing him, will Ty Simpson be more like Blake Barnett or be more like Mac Jones?
I think everybody and their mother knows Keelan Russell will eventually be the starting quarterback at Alabama. And that is, I think, the one conversation piece that probably drives a lot of people in these types of discussions, so they can maybe have a distorted picture of what that looks like related to this year. Because Ty Simpson is a guy that, clearly has football acumen. Say what you will about him and his quarterback competitions against Jalen Milroe and Tyler Buckner once upon a time feels like a lifetime ago. But he's been in Kalen DeBoer's system. He's been in Nick Saban's system and clearly had a good enough spring to warrant just outright, which, I know that a vast majority of our audience is not Alabama media, but it's a big deal for Ryan Grubb to come out and publicly say, okay, yeah, this is the guy at this point of where we're at who has gotten into pole position. I mean, that's something, right? And so, and I don't know what that means again for this year. You're not going to know until the curtain's drawn back for sure. I certainly think that there will be a question of how long Ty's leash is, or whoever it ends up being, if the quarterback competition is not in fact over. It could be, it might not be. It's still a long way to go until August. But to answer the original question, Joe, I see Ty Simpson actually falling somewhere in the middle. Like, I'm not trying to take a safe answer here at all. But
you have to choose an extreme.
But one
national champion or off the team. There is no in between.
But what does he do? Does he take the transfer to South Florida and fade into obscurity path? Is that also?
It was Arizona State first, right? It was Arizona State first.
State, South Florida. There was all kind of teams. It was
Okay, with 10 being Mac Jones and 1 being Blake Barnett, I'll give Ty Simpson about a 7.5.
Yes, fair enough. More on the Mac and Jones or the Mac Jones spectrum.
We did this on Twitter the other day, and 83% took Mac Jones. Which, I mean, but look, you should be hopeful.
You should. I took Blake Barnett.
That's okay. That's okay. You're a miserable person.
Yeah, that's fair.
Was that when the guy made the Facebook comment? Was that what that was about, Joe?
Which one?
When I don't know if it was you who sent it to me, but it was something about how this one guy said, "Don't agree with Woods on the quarterback take, but I like him."
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably something like that. We love our commenters.
I'm not going to be a Ty Simpson fan until he makes me a Ty Simpson fan.
Comment on the show at Bama Central on the YouTube channel, at MA_Woods_, at Joe Gaither 6, and at Real WB Miller today. Will, what are you going to do this weekend with Alabama baseball and Wrestlemania colliding?
Wrestlemania is probably going to be playing on my phone while baseball's on the TV.
There you go. Okay, all right. So let me read an ad real quick. Let's tell everybody where we are. We'll kind of wrap the Alabama portion of the program up right here in the Derek Daniels State Farm Studios. We're live off of McFarland Boulevard in Northport, Alabama. You can call Derek and his team at 205-758-3391 for all of your insurance needs. Red, Reese, and Victoria are upstairs right now. They'd love to talk to you about all your insurance needs, home, life, auto insurance needs, boaters insurance. It's so nice outside yesterday. I wrote the show story on the back porch, and I was like, man, it'd be nice to be out on a boat, but you got to have boaters insurance if you're out on a boat. Home, life, auto insurance, boaters insurance, renters insurance. Call Derek Daniel, State Farm, today for all of your insurance needs. 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel is there. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. All right, Will Miller, we did bring you on for Alabama baseball, but the real reason I brought you on is because we love wrestling, and it is a huge weekend. WrestleMania weekend kicks off. Really, it already kicked off, but SmackDown tonight, you'll get into Stand and Deliver tomorrow morning at 9:30. Goodness gracious, I think I will miss that a little bit. We want to walk the dog at least in the morning, and then we'll have night 1 WrestleMania Saturday, night 2 WrestleMania on Sunday. But Will, I'm just starting right here because this week has been horrific for the WWE.
Yes.
it's the Super Bowl. I mean, look, we got to make it in terms of people that can understand. It's Super Bowl week, and the NFL is spending its week talking about the UFL all week long about the UFL and stepping in political landmines. What in the world's going on? I read that the head of PR got promoted to another department, so there's not a head of PR, or the new head of
That's
PR
right.
isn't quite in control. What in the world is going on? Why are they all ruining the best week of the year?
And this is my thing. They got a good WrestleMania card, and they've still got some things taking shape. I mean, we don't know on SmackDown tonight if they're going to book Nick Aldis to face Randy Orton, which a lot of people would be excited about. I'm one of them. Please make that match, Triple H. Still so much potential intrigue around this card, so many matches with so much heat on them that honestly, there's a lot of good potential bookings that are completely flying under the radar. And of course, as you touched on, Joe, rather than highlight those, and you're in Sin City, it's going to be a heck of a weekend. And it's like some people don't even know it's this weekend.
Are they all drunk in Vegas? Is that it on these podcasts?
You know, that actually could be the case.
That might be it. It feels like they've done a really poor job riding the wave from the Cena heel turn. Like that was the most WWE content that I have been force fed through like algorithms and things in the last decade. Because obviously I interact and I watch WWE, but you know, in times like this, like I get a little bit more than the average person probably, but it was like every other video was, you know, Travis Scott slapping Cody Rhodes or John Cena, you know, making the face at The Rock slitting it. Like, it was everything I saw online was that. And it feels like just every week, it's just gone further and further and further down the hype train. And I don't know. Feels like
part of it is because the angle has been booked terribly. You got Cena coming out and not saying a word about The Rock. I mean, it's been fun to watch John Cena roast little kids in the audience, and you know, there's a hilarious aspect to that, to John Cena when he's so obviously playing a character, coming out and talking about, oh, this little kid, he's part of a toxic relationship, you know. And there's been certain things. I mean, he absolutely fried Cody that first week on the microphone, but the momentum has not been.
I don't agree. I don't agree.
No.
The momentum has not really been carried over.
People chose me. You were chosen by a man in the boardroom. And again, Cena, you can't keep your mouth shut this morning. The headlines. I know people are going to be mad at it, but I just love Vince McMahon. I love Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, brother, like.
You can't just say that anymore.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Like praise the Lord for CM Punk this morning. Thank you, Phil. Well done. Phil comes out and says, "Oh, another one of these podcast interviews, I'm sure."
And you know he's not going to have a problem besmirching Vince McMahon, which Vince obviously deserves it. But even if he didn't, even if Vince was the most saintly person alive, which he's more to the other extreme on that, CM Punk would still probably find, or at least he would at least have negative thoughts about him.
I just can't believe that they keep stepping into sides on the political spectrum. Oh, look, I get people feel one way or the other. Okay, great. And I'm not here to debate that or move you off your position. Great. But what's the Michael Jordan line? Republicans buy shoes too. Like you want both sides of the aisle buying your product if you're an entertainment entity. Obviously, we know that Donald Trump is a WWE Hall of Famer, and I'm not shying away from that. But like, it just seems like you're asking for trouble this week. And okay, it would be one thing for me, Will, if the commentary was living in the political realm. All right, fine. I can deal with that. I can give you free speech. I can give you people feel different ways, whatever. What in the will they leave Tony Khan alone? Please? Will you leave the AEW folks alone? Like, I get they're supposed to be little brother, and I get they're supposed to be the off-brand.
Like you've got half their roster right now. I mean,
That just feels like bullying.
Right. I mean, their entire. I mean, the top of the card is Cody Rhodes right now, the founder, one of the founders, preeminent faces of the company. You get, they're all up and down NXT, former AEW people, other people on the main roster. I mean, you have got most of the pieces. I mean, I hear that, for WWE's purposes, we'll call him Rusev. He just signed back, here in the last few weeks, couple weeks, things like that. I mean, it's just at some point, it's just not necessary to even acknowledge their existence.
Well, that's the point. Like, look, be competitive. Great. I'm gonna go do shows in your backyard. I'm gonna sign your talent. You're gonna sign my talent. Whatever. But it's the petty nyenya. Oh, he wouldn't do it if he wasn't a billionaire's kid. He wouldn't do. Oh, he's only doing it because he's got a bunch of seed money. Okay, well, they did just pass WCW for syndicate for like amount of time on the air, so they are doing something right. I don't know. To me, what you've done, Nick Khan, is caused me to go to HBO Max this week. I'm sorry. Like, hello, WWE Mark. I am watching WWE all the time. What I have done this week is turn to HBO Max and turn on Dynamite and Collision to check out this product, this AEW product that you guys are so afraid of.
Which is not what it was, but still pretty good.
I've enjoyed what I've seen on Max so far. I miss my Ricochet. So anyways,
what a another Vince McMahon mistake. God, you don't even get me started. I could go on rant after rant about Vince McMahon and his misuse of Ricochet. Ricochet was signed right when I first became a big wrestling fan, and he participated in that ladder match at TakeOver New Orleans for the inaugural North American Championship. And I thought, okay, this guy's got it. And obviously, he was never an 80-grade talker, is what it is. Most of them aren't, truth be told. I did not think that should have precluded him from being a relevant face on either brand, and yet it did.
Well, so it's been an interesting week getting ready for WrestleMania. Because Monday's Raw was okay. I am looking forward to SmackDown tonight. Let's start getting into it, because regardless of what happens off the TV set, I will be right in front of the TV set when it's time for SmackDown tonight and for WrestleMania. So basically, the last thing I see, Will Miller, is for SmackDown tonight to decide what in the world's happening with Randy Orton. Is there any other hanging thread for the weekend to be resolved tonight?
That I am immediately aware of, no. I want to see Nick Aldis wrestle, and this seems like as good a chance as any. So, I don't know if Nick will do it, because you got to remember, this is basically short notice for him too, because Kevin Owens comes out, a couple weeks ago and is like, oh, I have to have neck surgery. I thought it was a shoot at first, Joe. I probably told you that. But now, you're basically getting Nick into the ring with, a couple years of rust and not a whole lot of preparation time. I don't know how the match would be, but I do want to see it. Like, that's the wrestling fan in me, is like, okay. And on the off chance that, and I really respect both guys. I'm a big Randy Orton fan, but on the off chance that it sucks, so what? I still want to see it.
So that'll be tonight.
They're going to let Randy Orton punt him if they get the match.
Then you need
I totally agree.
Got to.
You've been teasing the punt. He was definitely going to punt Kevin Owens.
Oh, yeah. Need to see it.
You get a little Street Profits, SmackDown champions on. How about that? Hunter. Every time I see Triple H is a racist online, I think, no, he's not. No, he's not. That's a dumb take. But then you're going to book the SmackDown champions, the Black Tag Team champions, on Friday night. You're not going to put them on a 2-night WrestleMania show. You're going to put them on Friday night, regular Friday night TV show, which they're going to win. It's going to be great. That's like your best I'm sorry. That's your most exciting tag team to me. I do love me some DIY, but can we get the tag team champions? I know they're Black, Hunter, but can we get them on WrestleMania, please? I'm sorry, Will.
Yeah, I've been a big Street Profits fan since they were in NXT. I am one of those Montez Ford, future Dynamite singles competitor believers. And that's not to say I think Angelo Dawkins is bad. I think that by sheer virtue of who his tag team partner is, he's one of the most underrated wrestlers on the roster. All that to say, yeah, there's no defensible reason to not put them on WrestleMania.
All right, so we're cutting Mason out just a little bit. Let's bring him in here. Night 1 WrestleMania, seven matches. I don't know if you're looking at the card or not, but here we go. You got you're looking at it great. Yeah. So look at these 7 matches in the first night, and why don't you pick out what you are most excited to see, and we'll go off of that.
Man, it's a great night. I mean, I think the obvious choice is between the triple threat match with Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk, and the heavyweight championship with Gunther and Jey Uso. But I'm also very interested in seeing.
Disappointed. Jey
What'd you say, Will?
Cannot win that match. It just cannot happen.
I hope he does not. I
think he's going to, but I hope not.
I think he is too, and I sure hope not, because I'm not going to be able to buy that for a second. Jey Uso taking down the ring general. Gunther is far too terrifying.
After he's already like 0 and whatever in world title matches in his singles career. Yeah, he's lost to Roman Reigns, 3 times in championship matches. This is not his first crack at the World Heavyweight Championship either. I mean, he has no credibility. And so, he lost the U.S. title match to freaking Austin Theory way back when that was, a thing going on. I mean, this guy in singles match, he's got 1 singles championship match win, and it's over Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship, which obviously later won that title back, and he's had it ever since. I mean, what is Jey in singles championship matches? I don't know if either of you guys know. It's 1 and legitimately 8 or 9, if not a little bit more. There's no credibility there for him to beat Gunther, and that's even before talking about who Gunther is.
That's going to take me down. I'm going to be so excited for WrestleMania. That's going to be the first match, and then Jay's going to win, and I'm just going to be like, it's going to take me down real hard.
I'm not a Jey Uso fan. I think it's very cool how much fans like him. The entrance and stuff is awesome. I can appreciate the fan interaction and things like that. But every Jey Uso aura clip I see is from an entrance. There's no wrestling.
Has to ring.
There's no nice moves being done. There's no high flying
dives,
kicks or anything. No, it's him coming in and waving his hands in the air and yelling yeet. Everybody's like, "Oh, he's so awesome!" It's like, that's cool, but I'd like to see some moves. I'd like to see a move.
It's because the 6-year-old love him.
That's what it is, and the 6-year-olds apparently run everything because they're the ones that buy toys and merch. But man, it's frustrating.
Lord, he's got the worst fear known to mankind.
Boy, y'all see some of the merch prices. The lines to get it. People lining up I'm 7, 8, 10 hours beforehand to get in so they can get their greasy hands on a $3,500 signed championship belt.
I am that target audience, and there's no chance. You saw Triple H put out his new Nazi belt that looks like Triple H or whatever, and it's $900, and it's well, that would be a super cool collector's item because it did look like Triple H's legacy all over it.
Oh yeah,
but they were selling they were selling John Cena's Elimination Chamber clothes for $75,000. The clothes that John Cena turned heel in.
Somebody's going to buy it, Joe. I hope
someone's going to buy it and get a John Cena wax figure to just set up in their house.
And it's John Cena.
That's the kind of person that could afford such a purchase if they're already spending $75,000 on jorts.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a video of a guy walking out with 4 T-shirts, and I just know that he dropped $250 probably.
They have these. They have the shows that aren't televised all over the place, and you can buy. I'm sure I shudder to think what they cost now, but the last time I looked, you could buy a VIP experience ticket for $600 and something each, and so you get that, and it gives you get a chair, you get some sort of meet and greet opportunity, and you get early access to the merch table, which if you're spending $650 on a ticket to a wrestling show with no actual prestige whatsoever, you can probably buy a T-shirt or a belt. But I don't know who even these days has the disposable income for that kind of stuff.
I'll stick with my $40 action figure every so often.
Yeah.
To add to my collection.
Although, man, a championship belt would look pretty sweet back behind you there.
It would, but like,
well, we got to get a sponsor to buy it for
that
us.
price. Yeah, exactly. That price tag is like I can justify $40 going out of my bank account once a month and putting a little action figure on my shelf, but like $900 belt. Oh, I mean, maybe we're revealing ourselves right now, but that's a expensive trinket for me.
Yeah, not for me.
All right, man. All right, Mason Woods is caught between the triple threat and the world heavyweight title match on night one. Will Miller. If those two matches were not on the card, you're choosing now between Rey Mysterio and El Grande Americano, War Raiders and New Day, Jade Cargill and Naomi. Ooh, that's a dark horse. LA Knight and Jacob Fatu, and then obviously Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. So between those, what do you pick? What's your most intriguing pick?
But to me, there aren't really any misses on that list.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be fantastic. As a Jacob Fatu mark, I have to go with that one. LA Knight's been the U.S. champion since last August, first week at SummerSlam, Cleveland. Nice, Joe. And we have seen these long mid-card title reigns under Triple H's leadership that personally I am not for, but we've seen them. And this is another one. You know, he's been the U.S. champion for 8 months. And Jacob Fatu has already had his coming out party. I thought he looked great in the feud against Braun Strowman. I think he is, obviously, as we all knew he would, far outshine Solo Sikoa on the microphone and pretty much in any.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that he will win this title. I don't know if it's a squash match necessarily. It could be, but he's going to look really good doing it. It's going to be his kind of springboard into eventually the main event scene, which I think will be in by the end of the year. I'm really excited for that.
All right, then night number 2 happens. We're gonna go to bed. Everybody's gonna go to church, and then we're waking up on Sunday. Night number 2, Mason Woods, dealer's choice again. Pick your favorite match out of night number 2. Women's World Champion triple threat. I know Logan Paul, AJ Styles. You got a little women's tag team, fatal 4, lots of action. You know, what you looking at? What's your favorite?
It's got to be the Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio. I love Penta. I have loved him since the moment he entered. I'm all about Penta. I would love to see him win. I do like Braun Breaker. Not a big Finn Balor guy. He comes off a little corny to me.
You know who needs to win? Is Dom. Dirty Dom Mysterio.
That would be great.
Well, obviously, the Judgment Day is going to finish fracturing in this match, right? I mean, it's incredibly obvious. We're finally going to see the end of the Judgment Day.
I would think so.
It was the hottest story in the company last SummerSlam after the whole mess with Dom and Rhea and then that whole personnel changeover that they had. And then they just did nothing with it.
Triple H has done that a couple of times in the last year. Gotten a story up to a level 8, 9, 10 where you want to see it and then just like turned away from it. I don't get it. He did that with Chad Gable and Otis. Like that's all I wanted to see for a couple of weeks was Chad Gable and Otis just locked into a cage.
You mean El Grande Americano, Joe?
Right. Woo. Okay, so I think that number 2, yeah, Mason, you hit. That's the match. The Fatal 4-Way is going to be a lot of fun.
Great.
But Will Miller, put us at the end of the show. Is it John Cena? Are we all booing? Has John Cena kicked The Rock in the gonads? Has the heel turn only lasted a couple of weeks? How will WrestleMania 41 end?
Cena will win the world championship. I'm okay with it. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of emotions from various fans around Cena in 17, but the fact remains he's going to get it. You know, there are a lot of schools of thought around it. Does he deserve it? Does he not deserve it? You know, Cody's been champion for a year, had a great reign, had some great matches, some great storylines. Should have dropped the belt to Kevin Owens, but I digress. I think this is where we are. And for John Cena's final run in the company, you know, the heel turn was executed great. I still think you're at a point where you can definitely turn this angle into something truly great. And in order to do that, he needs the world title belt. I think he's going to get it. I just hope Cody can get one last great match out of him. You know, his last WrestleMania match against Austin Theory. Now, granted, it's Austin Theory, who, when he was a babyface in NXT, was actually okay, but was just a tacky heel on the main roster. It was not great. It was not a good match. But I think that John Cena is going to win. It's going to be a great spectacle, and we'll see what happens from there.
Wise man, why are my eggs $45?
It's the tariffs, my tribal chief. One of the funniest wrestling tweets that I have seen since January 2024 when somebody put something up about the Ultimate Warrior and his speech before he passed away, and somebody in the replies was like, well, he died.
Wise man, why are my eggs $45? Oh, man, Mason Woods, I'll leave you the last word on WrestleMania. What are you excited about? What are you fearful of, maybe? What do you hope might happen? I don't know. Give me inside the mind of Mason Woods as we land this plane.
I'll say I'm fearful that the WWE is going to try to put Logan Paul over in this match against AJ Styles.
They are.
Continue to push it. I know. And it's going to suck, and I'm going to have to watch it, and it's going to be awful.
And that match is going to be good, too.
It's going to be a great match.
Yeah.
But, I have no desire to watch Logan Paul on my TV.
WrestleManias, Mason. I don't know if you really know a lot about it. AJ Styles' WrestleManias, pretty much since he signed with the company, he had a really good match with Jericho and Shane McMahon in the first couple of years, which Shane McMahon is AJ's best WrestleMania match, if that tells you anything. It's been terrible. The Shinsuke Nakamura one was supposed to be like, and I know they were never going to repeat their match from Wrestle Kingdom in Japan, but it was supposed to be, watchable, which it was not. You've had other matches that he's been in at WrestleMania, the Edge one was a dud. I mean, that one disappointed me. There's been others, but the fact that this is where AJ is, he's one of the greatest in-ring performers in history, and this is where he is at WrestleMania. Again, it's going to be good. Logan Paul is going to be one of AJ's better WrestleMania matches of his career and could end up being the best if it's an absolute barn burner. But the fact that AJ is going to lose sticks in my craw.
Yeah, that's going to suck. I'm just not going to have fun watching that. I really, really, on a deep personal level, dislike Logan Paul, not at all having to do with his character. It is purely outside of WWE. I cannot stand this person. Do not want to see him on my television.
That match is going to make Abby excited in my house because I will be verbally booing the television screen, and she'll be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, that one's going to suck.
But she's not going to howl and do it with you.
Is Tiffany Stratton's going to win this, right?
God, I hope so.
Because that's another thing. I sure.
Well, we know Charlotte might have the power to decide, and Charlotte wouldn't put her over if it was unilaterally her call. So that one's a true toss-up to me.
Yeah, I don't want to see Charlotte Flair win. I would not would not be very overly interested in that. I'm over Charlotte Flair. She can go away. That'd be fine with me.
This story calls for Tiffany to after Charlotte's gone off script so many times. Tiffany needs to just whoop her tail.
That would be great.
Tiffany Stratton by Andrade interference.
That's the ex-husband. That's Charlotte's ex-husband. All right, Will, tell everybody where they can find you, what you're going to be up to this weekend with Alabama baseball, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
Yeah, we're going to have live blog game coverage for these next two games tonight, 6 p.m. Central, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central. You're going to have both games on national television, ESPN2 tonight, SEC Network tomorrow before Easter weekend. You're going to have all your coverage, your updates. And if you want, we talked about this series right when I first joined. If you want to see play-by-play analysis, everything in between of how it goes, you can stay locked in with Bama Central all weekend long.
There we go. Real WB Miller on the Twitter machine. Thanks for your time, Will. Hope you have a great weekend.
Absolutely, guys. You too.
That's Will Miller joining us on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, and you joined us today on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, everywhere you get the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. You got us right there at Alabama Crimson Tide on SI. Follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_ on the Twitter machine. Subscribe to his podcast, All Things Bama. We're about to record a brand new episode of All Things Bama. We'll see where we go. We'll get into the weekend. We will talk to you on Monday. Oh my gosh, Mason, will we make it to Monday without a scholarship player going in the transfer portal? You got one linebacker, Nolan Ashbury. Hope you find a great place. Walk on linebacker. Put some tape out on Twitter the other day. Hope it works out great for you. Go find a scholarship and go be an All-American wherever you go. But no actual scholarship. Will we make it to Monday with no scholarship players in the portal?
I'm going to say yes.
I'd love that. I think that Kalen DeBoer, Kalen DeBoer's not so overt flex on them hoes right now. Like, okay, we're not saying that look at all these guys we got, but we haven't lost anyone at all. So on all y'all.
Yeah. Obviously they like something about the new coach. So to anybody that does not anybody that wishes he was maybe not coaching here, wishes that he would maybe be fired, maybe reconsider.
I think that's a very interesting element, and we'll talk about that even more on Monday on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.